evening. Yes, the new football season is with us, and tonight we see a new Liverpool. Will they be as effective as the old? We see a new Spurs. Will they be as effective without Ozzy Ardiles? And we see changes in the laws. How much will they improve the game for us all? We look at those things tonight with Jimmy Greaves, who had plenty to say for himself in the World Cup, of course, and Ian St John, never short of a strong opinion himself. But now let's go back to Wembley for the presentations.
And the guest of honour at Wembley today, and there couldn't be a more popular one in the centre of the picture there, Ron Greenwood, who retired as England manager after the recent World Cup in Spain. Flanked by Ted Croker, Secretary of the Football League, and Mr. Bert Millichip. First to meet the Liverpool players, Graham Souness, Bruce Grobbelaar, and a word there with young Sammy Lee, who captained the England under-21 course. And Phil Thompson. Well, he played many a battle and many a good one for Ron Greenwood, more recently, of course, in the World Cup. Alan Hansen of Scotland and Liverpool, and Ian Rush. And a really cheery, friendly introductions going on here. Mark Lawrenson of Liverpool, and another England man, and Ron Greenwood's got a word for him, Phil Neal. And of course, the one and only, what a shot, Bob Paisley, manager of Liverpool. Well, nobody's enjoying it more than Ron Greenwood. Coming across now to meet the Spurs captain, Glenn Hoddle. Well, he wasn't always in Ron Greenwood's England side, but that was a warm enough welcome. And Ray Clements, what battles they had together for England. Tottenham line. So as Spurs players are presented, the crowd are waiting for what should be a really good pipe opener to the season.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem.
And now the national anthem. So here are the two teams. The worst injury doubts of Benny Dowdy Johnson, but they've both been resolved. And as you see, there's no at the start for like David Hodder, fourth by from Middlesbrough, or Terry Dermott there on the sub. As for Spurs, they have Steve Penn, who's substituted today, Paul Price and Graham Robertson definitely have an exploratory injury at the very time moving off today. That's irony for you. 21-year-old right, John Lacey, who played here for Fulham in the 1975 fresh line for Mr. Rose in the middle. It really is an important day for goalkeepers today, for people like Ray Clements of Spurs and for Bruce Grobbelaar of Liverpool. They have now, like goalkeepers everywhere, to come to terms with the strict new four-step rule. Only 4 steps allowed once the ball is under their control. That's important, under their control. And referees will be looking hard at this. It's designed to speed up the game for everybody's enjoyment. And the referee is Neville Ashley from Nantwich in Cheshire, the first time he's been in the middle at Wembley. And what a movement upwards for Gary Mabbott, playing in the 3rd division for Bristol Rovers, and his first real competitive game for Spurs, his new club, is here at Wembley. So Liverpool kick off at the start of an important season for the game in England in the dark shirts of red, attacking the goal to our left, Spurs in white. And really it's become almost a second home for both these clubs as Wembley. Liverpool have been here so often, and Spurs, in point of fact, here for the 7th time in the last 15 months. Lacey, who was on the Fulham side, beaten by West Ham in the 1975 FA Cup final. Hazard playing it wide here, and the first Wembley touch for young Gary O'Reilly. Really a big, strong lad, playing a long ball towards Garth Brooks, and Phil Thompson winning it quite comfortably in the air. Souness, Neil, played on towards Dalglish, but it comes off Houghton. And there's the Liverpool bench with people like Terry McDermott and David Hodgson on it, not to mention young Steve Nicol. Something like £1 million worth of talent on that bench. Hanson's ball. Galvin right back there, covering an awful lot of ground at the moment, just looking the ball for Houghton. Hoddle versus Souness, that's kind of a battle in the midfield, and Hoddle obviously stung a little bit by some of the challenges from Souness, and and there's Crooks and Souness getting desperately involved there, and Crooks could be in trouble there. That was a crazy moment. Sammy Lee trying to calm Garth Crooks down, but Crooks clearly incensed for the way that Souness behaved with Hoddle, and I'm wondering what referee Ashley is going to do about this. He's calling Garth Crooks to him. Really seemed to be some headbutting going on there, and really it was a totally undignified half minute, and the referee deciding what? Well, there have been some handshakes, and some tempers need to be cooled very quickly indeed. Hoddle, you notice there, showing something on his right thigh, which presumably he's claiming came from Souness, and the referee having a very, very strong word with Garth Crooks. And the upshot of it all, no name takes, handshakes, and a free kick for Liverpool. Well, I would have thought one or two players might have been a bit lucky there. Certainly a strange thing for Garth Crooks to have done. He wasn't involved, and he suddenly allowed himself to become so heavily involved, and the consequences could have been quite considerable for him. It started with Graham Souness and Glenn Hoddle. Archibald. Houghton. Foul by Lee, free kick to Tottenham. Hoddle with the free kick for Tottenham. Lacey's come up for this one, but it's hit in low. Kennedy gets it away. Miller. Right through offside, acknowledged by the referee. The game goes on. Neil. Thompson. Souness. Hanson. Dalglish. Hanson again. Kennedy. Whelan's gone wide for him. Kennedy might want to go all the way. There's a little cross coming in, and Spurs didn't get it away all that well, and a good shot from Souness, beaten down by Clements. There's Birkinshaw, second from the right, the Spurs manager. And the Spurs subs behind him, which include Steve Cohen. Away on the right there with his hand on its head. And Ricky Villa in there too, the bearded Argentinian, as you can see. And there's the goal. O'Reilly making a break, but then getting caught in possession, and here's Dalglish. Robinson getting that one away. Riley's header. It's Whelan. got to be a Liverpool throw off Phil Miller. And he turned well. He managed at one moment to turn, and a good shot by Souness. Again straight at Ray Clements. Hazard. After this one again, there's precious little space for him, and again Thompson got in there and did his job. And the throw for Tottenham, which Tony Galvin will take. Archibald made a move and got to it, but Hoddle close at hand. Here's Hoddle. Change of Buchan goes inside, but the ball is played to Hazard, who strikes a good ball. And does so there. Well saved by Grobbelaar. First real shot that Spurs have produced, and Grobbelaar in the Liverpool goal was equal to it from Hazard. But Tottenham's corner. Pulled in there, and Grobbelaar reaching and not collecting. It'll come for Hoddle, driving it in there. And in the end, Miller got the shot in, but there wasn't the power, and Grobbelaar was there. Hazard, who really put in a good, fierce shot there. First time that Grobbelaar's been asked to show his skill. And here comes Spurs again. Brooks, chance for him to turn, and trying to get Houghton through, and a good piece of defence by Hansen. The last man there denying the Spurs defenders. He was put through superbly by Crooks. Good little spell this for Tottenham. They get another corner. Tony Galvin with it. John Lacey, the 6-foot-plus defender, is up. Nabbit is in there too. And Nabbit with the header, but there was an infringement as the Spurs number 7 went in on Phil Thompson, and it'll be a free kick to Liverpool. Just over half an hour gone. Liverpool 0, Spurs 0. Here's Hansen. Lawrenson. Whelan, forced back by Lacey. Souness. That's one for Rush, but Miller's gone with him, and Miller puts it away for a Liverpool throw. Neal with the Liverpool throw. Back for Phil Neal again. Floated too deeply for anybody in a red shirt. It's Gary Mabbott. First time he's ever played on the right side of the midfield for Tottenham. They played him in their pre-seasons as left back and left side of the midfield, but Kenneth Birkinshaw, the Spurs manager, delighted with the way the young fellow has shown an ability to play almost anywhere. It's Grobbelaar. Phil Thompson making a charge. And not a bad one as well as Rush goes through. And this surely is a goal for Liverpool. Ian Rush with a fine finishing touch. But what a brilliant break by Phil Thompson. Well, he hadn't popped out of his half for any part of this game. certainly there was the surge, but more than anything, there was the pass for Rush, going round Ray Clements, slotting it home before Spurs can do anything about it. Liverpool 1, Spurs 0, 32 minutes of the game gone. Perfect example there, Phil Thompson with the ball, of the surprise element of suddenly somebody from the back creating something that Spurs didn't expect. And it was so superbly simple. And it also called for an icy piece of finishing which Ian Rush provided. Again, and look who's popped up on a left-wing position, the right-back Phil Neal. The pass will fall for Miller and not for Souness. Now gets Hoddle. Little touch forward there, some nice skill by Hoddle, and it'll come back to him again a little fortuitously, and some more good skills there as he beats Souness, and the Spurs fans enjoyed that. And now Nabbott finding Galvin, who's got Archibald waiting in the middle, but waiting there for Liverpool was Mark Lawrence. Here's Wheeler. Liverpool leading by a goal to 0 with about 4 minutes of the first half remaining. Kenny Dalglish, shadowed by Lacey, gets the ball into Rush. Can Rush turn on this? He doesn't have to, but the shot by Whelan was a poor one, and as well for Spurs that it was. Now Hoddle. Wait for Galvin. I think Ron Greenwood would... I think he enjoys any game of football. It's not been, as yet, quite the game that we'd been promised by both the managers. But Liverpool will be happy 1-0 ahead. Anderson playing it in. And again, O'Reilly getting up well, because it was an important header with Dalglish threatening to scuttle in behind him again. Houghton, the long left-footed clearance towards Garth Crooks, but once again the solid figure of Phil Thompson there. Last seconds of the first half now. First half where Liverpool have looked like Liverpool, and that says but it's quite a warning, as we knew it would be for everybody else in the first division. Keith Birkinshaw going off to see if he can make maybe the odd adjustment, maybe to find a way through. And Phil Thompson, who had a magnificent first half, and it was his break forward that led to the pass for Ian Rush. And Rush's excellent finishing as he went round Ray Clements, producing the only goal of the first half. So it could be good second half in prospects. We're going to take a short break with a half-time score. Liverpool 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0, and we'll be back with that second half. So Liverpool leading by a goal to 0 as Spurs get the second half underway. Spurs attacking the goal then to our left. Liverpool's 6th appearance in the Charity Shield in the last 9 seasons. There's a lot for their success over the last decade, and indeed they've won it twice in the last 3 years. Spurs, of course, who were in the Charity Shield last year when they played the champions Aston Villa. That finished in a 2-2 draw. Sammy Lee, and now Souness. Little touch there for Lee. Dalglish away wide on the right, but had moved fractionally into an offside position when Lee played that ball. And Ian Rush, scorer of the only goal so far. O'Reilly. Played towards Crooks, and a good chance there for Crooks, maybe. It was an uncharacteristic error there. And Lawrenson, I think it must have been, jumping and failing to make a connection, and Crooks was in behind him. Liverpool 13 times champions of the Football League. Spurs FA Cup winners on 7 occasions. Well, here's Houghton, stopped at the last by Phil Thompson. And it's Chris Houghton with the throw for Tottenham, picking out Lacey. Crooks, and now Galvin. Will he get to the byline? Slings in a good cross there towards Archibald. Well gathered though by Grobbelaar. The free kick quickly given as I think Archibald legally was trying to get the ball out of Grobbelaar's hands. But some good handling there by the Liverpool keeper, and a really good little sprint to the byline and a tantalising cross by Tony Galvin. Well, you can see the funny side of it. Galvin did well for Tottenham. Well, Steve Perryman warming up for Tottenham. And I think, yes, Mark Falco, the other one. Well, he remembers Charity Shields. He got a couple of goals here in last year's against Aston Villa. Lacey. Hazard. Played wide there for Archibald. Here's Rush. Inside for Lee, and a chance for a good counter-attack here for Liverpool. They've got men forward quickly, and they've got men over, and there's Hansen coming up from the back, and Clements just about stopping him, but only just. And just as Phil Thompson came roaring through from the back to create the only goal of the game so far, so it was Hansen then who made a marvellous break from the back, became the man over, and was only denied right on the edge of the box by Ray Clements. Crooks doing well. It'll certainly be Gary O'Reilly who's coming off for Steve Perryman, number 4. Well, he's had his first taste at Wembley. Found Gary O'Reilly, and he's done pretty well. And great cheers now for the great Spurs favourite Steve Perryman, who is not totally fit yet, but his influence is so monumental for Tottenham that it really is worth putting him on for the 25 minutes that remain. Tipped away superbly by Grobbelaar, and Gary Mabbutt must have thought on his first Wembley appearance his name for a moment was going to be on that score sheet. He took it so well, nodded in there by Crooks, and he catches it on the volley. What a spectacular goal that would have been. Instead, it was a marvellous save by Grobbelaar. So it's a corner which Hoddle will take for Tottenham. And this might come from Abbott now. Knocked away that time by Whelan. Hazard playing it wide, Hoddle playing it in, and this time it's comfortable for Grobbelaar. Well, that flurry from top, you talk about the influence of Perryman, that all happened without Perryman even touching the ball. Hazard. Abbott again. Red wall against him, and in the end he has to play it wide for Perryman. It's Perryman once more. Chelsea. Good spell again this by Tottenham, looking for the equaliser. Hazard playing it through, Hansen getting it away. Looks as though David Hodgson might get a chance. For Liverpool, warming up on the far side. Perryman. Hazard. So Hodgson doing some warming up for Liverpool. £400,000 worth from Middlesbrough. Flags go up, the whistle's gone. Free kick for Liverpool. Well, it looks as though it's Kenny Dalglish who will be coming off. In the meantime, Phil Neal playing it in there. Back towards Dalglish. Houghton. Bit of space here for Perryman. Naville wide on the right. Archibald and Cooks and Galvin are in the middle. And a free kick for Tottenham. Foul by Kennedy. Here's Hoddle. Perryman playing it in first time. Souness getting it away. Into touch. This will be the moment for the substitution. Kenny Dalglish goes off. And on comes David Hodgson. So Dalglish, that was something, an experience that he had in the World Cup, being taken off by Jock Stein. Now he's being taken off by Bob Paisley. And Hodgson is on as the substitute. Cost £400,000 from Middlesbrough, but even that size of fee doesn't mean you automatically get into the side. That's how the competition for places is at Anfield. Well, here's Houghton. Now Mabbott. Now Hazard. Struck well. I think maybe he made it look a little more spectacular than it needed to, but again the handling was secure. Strike again by Hazard. And I think Bruce Grobbelaar was flying through the air about now. But the handling was perfect. Whelan. Kennedy. And that was a handball by Perryman, apparently. That's a free kick for Liverpool then. Playing it in for Rush, who's offside. Well, Spurs. Oh, my word, Hodgson, almost with his first touch, very nearly produced Liverpool's second goal. And it would have been of Spurs making. They were dithering around on that far side of the penalty area. Hodgson turned and whipped in his shot, and Clements was equal to it. Kennedy, played for Souness, might well get a shot in here. To go a long way and then taken out of the game, an indirect free kick for obstruction. I would say that was the right decision. certainly been interesting to see if Galvin had got a finishing touch. So, Hoddle. Towards Archibald, and again, spectacularly making a mid-air catch. Hoddle with the free kick, hit with the outside of the boot. Archibald arching it in well, caught well by Grobbelaar. And Spurs about to make their substitution. Mark Falco's coming on, and it's Mike Hazard who goes off. Hazard, who certainly has been substituted a couple of times at Wembley by Spurs, and that's another, I would think, pretty unenviable record. The third time he's been substituted in a big game here at Wembley Stadium. So Hazard off, and Mark Falco, who scored twice against Aston Villa in the Charity Shield last season, is on. So Spurs presumably then playing three up front in a determined effort in the last 12 minutes or so to get that equaliser. Crooks, Archibald and Falco, the strike force for Tottenham. Hoddle, good control, finds Miller. Falco's moved away out to the left. Archibald lying a little deeper. Crooks going after this one. Well, the man who can play anywhere, Gary Mabbutt, seems to have gone into a central midfield position as Hodgson is called offside. Mabbutt in a central midfield position in place of Mike Hazard. Here's Hughton. Falco. Souness. Rush. Souness. Rush again. There's a little bit in two minds there, but might still keep possession, though Galvin's determination was greater, and in fact there was a throw to Liverpool. Galvin goes down injured. Spurs having made their two substitutions. 10 minutes remaining, Liverpool still leading 1-0. A long throw for Bilko. Presumably that must be Falco. Souness unfairly shrugged off the ball by his fellow Scot from the World Cup, Steve Archibald. Free kick for Liverpool. Souness. Well, Hodgson made a meal of it. Looked as though there was some sort of contact there, but he denied himself any chance at all. Those exaggerated claims. Good jump by Phil Neal. Here's Sammy Lee. Souness. Whelan. And again Hansen had made a good break from the back. Sadly for him, Whelan's final pass wasn't nearly as good as it should have been. Spurs no doubt remembering their appearance here last March against Liverpool in the Milk Cup final. And they held a lead right to the end, and then Liverpool overhauled them, and must be hoping that the same thing can happen the other way around this time, although You'd have to say there are a few signs of it, and that Liverpool at the moment, at full strength as opposed to a weakened Spurs side, Liverpool do look the better team. Leading by a goal to nil, 8 minutes remaining. Whelan trying to thread the ball through there for Rush. Perryman now checking out for Tottenham and finding Hobb. A chance for the equaliser, well saved by Grobbelaar. That was a real chance for Tottenham though, as Mabbutt put Falco through, and Grobbelaar did really well on the edge of his box. Ooh, and a good pass there by Thompson. And here's Hodgson on the way towards goal. Is it going to be all the way? No, Clemens has half on the far side, into the side netting, goal kick. For a moment as though David Hodgson on his first big appearance for Liverpool might well score the decisive second goal. Clemens parried it, in came Ian Rush, but into the side netting. And Souness, Tottenham's throw. Souness. Now, can he get Rush away here? Rush. And a good save by Clemens. Whelan trying to make something of it. Perryman again denying him. But Rush's pace once or twice in the second half has put him clear and put him in with a chance of goal. That time Clemens again did well. And the pass out there for Perryman. Here's Archibald. And Spurs yet conjure something up. It's played back that time by Ronnie Whelan. And there's no doubt they've looked a good, strong, formidable side, Liverpool, and they've won the Charity Shield for the third time in the last 4 years, with a goal by Ian Rush in the first half after a marvellous run and pass from the back. So Ray Clements is beaten, Spurs are beaten, and a final score at Wembley. It's Liverpool 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Bruce Grobbelaar, who in point of fact had to make 3 or 4 really exceptional saves, and that's how close it was. And there's a good shot for two managers. Bob Paisley and Keith Birkinshaw, with 9 months of hard and heavy work ahead of them. The first one out of the way, and Bob Paisley nearer the camera is the one who goes home the happier man. As Liverpool then make their way up to the royal box to receive the Charity Shield from the former England team manager Ron Greenwood. Graham Souness leading the way for Liverpool. And at the end of the climb, there's the Charity Shield. And there's Ron Greenwood. And that's not the first trophy that Liverpool have lifted from the royal box at Wembley, but it's the latest one. And maybe it won't be the last.
Well, Liverpool then are on their way, and in a moment let's hear what Jimmy Greaves and Ian St John have to say about the game. But now what about the Liverpool manager, Bob Paisley?
Well, it's certainly given the lift-off that we needed. I mean, some of them's only been training 3 weeks, and this is where people don't take it into consideration at the beginning of the season, you know, in August, but they'd only just started training in August, particularly the internationals. And it was a good, hard slog, all right. Probably our control and passing weren't up to standard, but That'll come, and all in all, it was a good workout.
Keith Birkinshaw, I know you went on record as saying you wanted your team to attack, you wanted to put on a show here this afternoon. Are you satisfied at the end of the day?
I think so, because we had 6 of those lads that's never trained all week, and obviously they're going to lack fitness. I thought that we tried to have a go at it. Liverpool's not the easiest team to have a go at, but we did as much as we could. I think Bruce Grobbler's had a fairly good game, so at least we've got some shots in, which is not bad. Better than what we did in the League Cup here, by the way, in March.
We weren't too disappointed with our display. We've tried something different today. Whether we end up playing that way all season or not, I don't know, but we tried something different. We got a result with it. I'm sure the boss and Joe and Ronnie will be looking for improvements, whether it's in that style or a different. Overall, I mean, we've gone home with the trophy, so we're not too disappointed. Obviously, a lot's been said, a lot was expected from this game. It'd been nice if there'd been a lot of goals scored, but there wasn't.
What in particular are you looking for from this season, if there's one wish about the coming season?
On the whole, I hope the whole game picks up. 1 or 2 changes might help. Only time will tell. But I just hope overall, right through the four divisions, attendances improve, violence is down, and the game improves overall.
What changes are you talking about there, Graham, when you say 1 or 2 things?
You know, this one, what they're calling a professional foul, it happens so quickly. You don't think about it. You don't think, well, okay, the ball's gone in the back of the net, the goalkeeper's beaten, I'm going to put my hand up and tip this ball over the bar. It's instinct, and it's not something you can think about. It happens too quickly. So I think a lot of people will be sent off this season.
You're not happy with that new rule?
No, I don't think players will be. I think a lot of people who would never normally get sent off will be sent off this year.
I think that the Brazilians showed us the way to a certain extent in the World Cup. I watched all their games, and I was thrilled by them. And you know, they've got skillful players that work harder than the other people. I think possibly this is what we've got to get through in England. The skillful players work really hard at it. Let's have really good moments so that we're going to produce exciting football.
Our reporter Jim Rosenthal. Now let's move on to Jimmy Greaves and Ian St John. Jimmy, first of all, Bob Paisley there describing it as a good hard slog. It really wasn't quite the spectacular, I think, that a lot of people had hoped for.
I don't think it really ever is, Brian, is it? I think players have got to get into their stride. As he said, a lot of internationals have been working throughout the summer, taken a bit more time off, and therefore they haven't really got into it yet.
Ian, we were talking at the start of the programme about a new Liverpool style. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, Bob doesn't like to talk about tactics and formations or whatever, but it's about Alan Hansen playing a little bit deeper behind Mark Lawrenson and Phil Thompson, and the 2 fullbacks being pushed up tight on the wingers in midfield, and this gives them a licence to attack, but it also gives everybody a licence to attack. And in this clip here, you can see at the bottom of your picture here, keep your eye on Alan Hansen, and you see how he races through. He's been the free man, so he's allowed to come through, and he almost goes round Ray Clemens here, and it was only one of Clem's famous diving lunges outside the box that stopped him. But I was interested to hear Keith Birkinshaw talking about the Brazilian style before, and we saw in the World Cup how back players forward, in fact, turn up in all sorts of positions. Now, this is Phil Neal, Liverpool's right back, turning up on the left wing up by the corner flag. Now, that's something I haven't seen from Liverpool, so that's pretty new. Then, of course, the goal illustrated that any of the back players could come forward. Now, Philly Thompson picks it up, sees a way clear, and races through, and then gives a beautifully weighted pass there for Ian Rush to take it up, go round Clemens, and coolly slot it in. It was a terrific goal, but it just shows you the freedom the back players can have playing this system, and I think I quite enjoyed watching it today. Now, whether they'll continue that, I don't know.
Jim, when we talk about Spurs, though, Keith Birkinshaw quite rightly was saying that he was pleased with the number of shots they got on target. And when you look at Bruce Grobbelaar's contribution for Liverpool, I mean, you could even make a case for saying, well, Spurs might have got a draw, they might even have won it.
He did a lot of diving about, Bruce, didn't he, on the quiet there? He was jumping and throwing himself around, but no, certainly he did have 1 or 2 shots to save. Gary Mabbott, I thought, got himself gradually into the game more and more, and here he plays a 1-2 with Garth Crooks, and you know, it's a good volley this, and a good save. Little bit unlucky there, because it might have been the thing he needed to really put him on the right road, but look at that for a superb ball. Played through to Mark Falco, who might have scored, but he has just come on as a sub, and you can excuse him a little bit. But Mabbott did look the part a little bit at times.
Yes, I mean, he was playing right, I think, for the first time. The question is, how much are they going to miss our dealers, Tottenham, in the midfield?
Well, I was talking to Steve Perriman about this, and they're expecting a lot more responsibility on the shoulders of Glenn Hoddle, obviously. They tended to think that Glenn used to stand aside and let Ozzy play, so they're looking for him to do a lot more.
Did you see signs of that today?
Yeah, I did actually. I don't think Glenn had an outstanding game, but he looked as though he wanted to take the responsibility on. If it doesn't work, I mean, I don't think Keith Birkinshaw's made any secret of the fact. I mean, he went for this lad Larios, I think, of France, and it wouldn't surprise me if things weren't working out there with Hazard or Brook, that he wouldn't go into the marketplace to buy somebody.
Yeah. Well, of course, there was also that unsavoury punch-up early in the game that we have to talk about that involved Glenn Hoddle, Graham Souness, and indeed at the end Garth Crooks. This is what Bob Paisley said about it afterwards. There was no way we wanted him, that's Garth Crooks, sent off, but he should have been substituted by Keith immediately afterwards because he struck the man. And as Keith Birkinshaw, the Spurs manager, said, he, that's Garth Crooks, must have been absolutely mad. If he'd been sent off, there would have been no grumbles from us. Ian, what did you feel about that?
Well, I think I must agree with both managers on that. This is the incident that started it all. Both of the players, Souness and Hoddle, tussle for the ball here. And then Glenn Hoddle fouls Souness there. He comes in behind him and fouls him. But Graham then stamps on him. And that, of course, was retaliation. But watch Garth Crooks now, who comes up, puts the head into Souness and then throws a punch. Now, Souness didn't lift his hands at all there. In fact, he kept away from it. And the linesman was right close by the thing. In fact, he nearly got hit with Crooks as well. Then Crooks throws a punch there at Kenny Dalglish. And really and truly, you know, why he was allowed to stay on the pitch, I don't know. He's a very, very lucky boy not to have been sent off. I think even Jimmy, you know, who's a Spurs man, would agree with me.
Well, actually, he wanted to fight all of them, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't quite know what happened to Garth there. Rush of blood.
It's unlike him too, honestly.
Well, it is unlike him, and we're talking now about players setting examples for the crowd. And I mean, I've been a victim. I've been sent off for that type of thing, so I know that if you do lift your hands, you're off. Now, he just didn't lift his hand once. He was throwing heads and he was throwing punches. He threw more punches there than Joe Bugner did in his career.
Well, two or three things that fans have got to look for this year. I mean, the referees clamping down on the cynical foul, players in danger of being sent off if they commit them, throw-ins being taken from the right place, and the four-step rule for goalkeepers. Now, what about the four-step rule that we saw today? Did it give you any clues, Jimmy?
Well, I was pleased to see it, actually, Brian, because, and we'll see a point here where Grobbler gets the ball, one of his famous puppet on a string dives here, and he's straight out with it. And that has speeded the game up no end. I mean, they're not posing anymore and looking round for the applause. And it's really great to see, and I think it can only help the game flow. As with the throw-ins, I mean, the players were so good at taking their throw-ins in the right place. And really, it improved the standard of the throw.
A lot of people are saying it is a critical season, which it is. Do you go into it with a bit of optimism as well, Ian?
Yes, I do, because I think the headlines that we've seen recently, you know, it's all been bad about soccer, and I think that the players have got a big responsibility, clubs have, and they've all got to pull together, and I'm looking for the players to lead the way back and reverse this trend of falling gates and poor football, and we've got to do something about it.
Indeed, that's the place that the lead must come from. Jimmy Greaves and Ian St John, thank you very much indeed. Liverpool then happy with their start to the season. Spurs, I would think, badly weakened and none too displeased with theirs either. Elsewhere, though, what a bad start to the season for one of Spurs' old players, Terry Naylor. Now with Charlton, he broke his right leg in a friendly match against West Ham today. And the Sheffield United goalkeeper, Keith Woff, in the wars, he broke a collarbone against Lincoln City. And trouble for the Reading goalkeeper, Ron Fearon. He was sent off for dissent against Aldershot. But better news in Scotland, Willie Pettigrew scored 4 times for Hearts in a 7-1 win over Clyde, and John Brogan, when one better, he got 5 for St Johnstone in a 6-1 win at Falkirk. That's it then for this week. The league programme, of course, opens up next week, and we shall have full coverage on ITV throughout the country every Saturday night throughout the season. So far, the season's had a familiar start to it, you must admit. Liverpool in willing form. Good night from us all.
Well, Phil Thompson making a charge. And not a bad one as well as Rush goes through. And this surely is a goal for Liverpool.